Welcome back to Huawei Routing and Switching Elite Training. Today topic we are going to discuss on Vlan. Let's start our part 8.
Alright, so now we have the last requirement number 4. Here we need to configure RIP. Okay, now for us to configure RIP, all the switches, so on switch 1, alright, switch 2 and switch 3, they need to able to have a layer 3 communication. And for us to configure the layer 3 communication, we need to have an interface that allow us to have IP address here on both sides, IP address here on both sides. Alright, so we are going to configure a common VLAN. So we are going to create both a common VLAN between S1, S2 and S2, S3. And let's jump into our switch and see how we can configure this. Now we have a switch 1 and switch 2. So I'm going to create a common VLAN. So I'm going to create a VLAN 9 here. VLAN 9 here. And I'm going to create a VLAN 19 here. Okay. So both these interfaces will be on the interface VLAN 9 on switch 1 and interface VLAN 9 on switch 2. Alright, so let's go to the switch number 1 and I'm going to configure the interface. Before I go to configure interface, VLAN 9, okay, and I'm going to configure the VLAN 19 as well. So display VLAN, so I have 9 and 19, okay, and go to the switch 2. I'll also will do the same thing, 9 and 19, sorry, VLAN batch, and same thing here, switch number 3. There you go. Alright, so I need to go to the interface VLAN 9. I'm going to configure IP address on the VLAN 9. So this is a switch 1 to switch 2. So I'm going to configure the IP address on the interface VLAN 9 as 12.1.1.1. That's switch 1 on 24/24. So I go to the switch number 2, interface VLAN 9. The IP address is 12.1.1.2.24. I'm going to do a ping to 12.1.1.1. Alright, so we just wait for a while for it to able to ping. The reason it's not able to ping is because the trunk is not allowed. Alright, so now we have to go back into switch number 1, interface Ethernet 0010. As you can see from here, number 9 is not allowed. So let's do a port trunk allow pass VLAN 9. Okay, so now you can see number 9 is there, but since you're already in the interface, must well we also allow the VLAN number 19. Okay, so just to confirm, so we have 2 to 3, 9 to 11 and 19. Now this configuration have to be in all the trunk port. Alright, so I just do a copy. I go to the switch 2, interface Ethernet 0010, interface Ethernet 0020, and finally on the switch number 3, that's our Ethernet 0020. Okay, so that on the trunk port already been configured. And let me go to switch number 2. Remember that the IP address that I have here on the VLAN 9 12.1.1.2, and in switch number 1 is 12.1.1.1. Alright, now I can ping. Now I'm going to configure the interface VLAN 19. And that IP will be 23.1.1.2, 24, that's my subnet. And I go to switch number 3, that's my interface VLAN 19 with the IP address of 23.1.1.3. Alright, so let me do a display IP and let me check if I can ping to my switch number 2. Alright, so that we can configure. And finally, that's the requirement here is to configure the RIP. So since we are in the switch number 3, let's configure the RIP now. Alright, so it's always a good practice to undo the summary and use the version 2, even though the question never asked. Now here we have a network of 1. Alright, so remember that on the switch number 3, we do have the interfaces here. Alright, that's number 1, and you just need to put 000, and network 23, that's our VLAN 19. On switch number 2, we do the same thing, RIP, undo summary, version 2, network number network number 23. Okay. Right, so and we also have a network number 12. Alright, that is VLAN number 9. So let's do a display current configuration on RIP. So that will be on the switch number 2, and finally we go to switch number 1, RIP, undo summary, version 2. Here we have a network of a 12. Right, so we just wait for a while for the peer to establish. So let me do a ping to 12.1.1.2. Yep, that's correct. And let me do a display IP routing protocol RIP. Now I have 113, 114, and 23. So now I have a fully routable network. Okay, so display current configuration RIP. So here we have our network number 12. Okay, so I missed out number 1 here. Remember that we have VLAN 2 and VLAN 3 here. So let me add back the network. So we have network number 1 that we need to advertise as well. Okay, so that will complete the configuration, and now we are going to do a testing between the client. Right, so this is my IP address 1111. So as you can see here, here I have a subordinate. Alright, so we are going to ping to VLAN 10 and 11. So the VLAN 10 here is 1133. Okay, that's client 1. That you can see that the first one is timeout because of the up proxy. And I'm going to ping to 1144. Okay, and that's also the same. So once you are able to ping, I'm going to do a trace 1.1.4.4. As you can see that it go into our switch 1. Alright, that's my up proxy. Then it go to the VLAN number 9. It go to VLAN number 19, and finally it went into the 1144, which is belong to VLAN 11. And I also can able to ping to 1.1.1.2, that is within my subordinate VLAN, or in this case my sub VLAN, using the super VLAN. So now I already show you the entire configuration, and just to repeat here, on switch number 1, display current, as you can see here, I have the aggregate VLAN. Alright, I have the aggregate VLAN here. That is my VLAN number 4. Sub VLAN here is 2 and 3. Okay, and here I also have my interface VLAN number 9. Switch number 2 do not have a lot of features except that this is a layer 3. Okay, and it's actually running on RIP. And switch number 3, here we have our configuration as in the layer 3 interface. Okay, and we also have the interface VLAN. Okay, there's interface VLAN 10 and 11. So now you have it, the entire requirement 1, 2, 3, and 4, plus everything on the super VLAN, inter VLAN routing, RIP configuration. Alright, and more importantly is also the trunk that I show you how you can do a configuration. Okay, now so let's look into the HCIE exam preparation for the VLAN topic. Now for this topic, it's not that difficult. Or what you need to do is just practice on the VLAN, access link, trunk link, and the hybrid. All this you have to understand very well. Same go for the practice as well as the interview. All right, so you need to know the principle. That is very important for your interview, as well as the different interfaces, as I mentioned, the frame transmission and different type interfaces. How do you assign your VLAN based on the protocol, IP, subnet, or MAC address? How the VLAN able to communicate using a subordinate VLAN, super VLAN, MUX VLAN, VLAN aggregation, MUX VLAN. All this you have to be very familiar. And if let's say you are not that familiar, in the exam you can refer back into the headaches. I'll prefer that you go through the headaches format, all right, because during the exam you'll be under a lot of pressure, so you need to know where's the exact location on where is the location for your MUX VLAN, VLAN aggregation, inter-VLAN routing, all those things. Okay, so thank you for your viewing for this video. I hope to see you again.
Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel.